Welcome to the Education Over Debt podcast. I am Sheena Hogan. I'm so glad you joined. This is a place where I give practical financial tips that anyone can understand and you can begin to implement now. Season 3, we will have a guest sharing their money story and providing helpful tips for young professionals as they transition into adulthood. My hope, of course, is that you will leave this conversation with a new tip, strategy, or perspective that you can begin to implement now. The Education Over Debt podcast is now streaming on Spotify, so be sure to check us out there and become a monthly subscriber for as little as 99 cents per month. And if you haven't already, check out our website at educationoverdebt.com so that you can learn more about what we're doing in the community and become a donor. Tonight's guest is Mr. Cory.McKnight. For the past 15 years, Cory.McKnight has worked as a public relations professional, providing governmental affairs and public involvement services for transportation and infrastructure projects in South Florida. Mr. McKnight works to ensure that messaging for large projects resonate with elected officials, community and business owners, and organizations, members of the media, and the general public. His clients count on him for everything from creating collateral materials and managing digital media to producing special events, conducting tours, and lobbying decision makers. The Miami native began his career 30 years ago as an engineer for Xerox in Rochester, New York. He then worked for 2 companies in the Charlotte area. After his stint in engineering, Mr. McKnight worked as a staff instructor and trainer for several federal TRIO programs. Mr. McKnight has worked on signature South Florida projects such as the $1 billion Miami Port Tunnel and the $2 billion Miami Intermodal Center. Last year, Mr. McKnight launched the EDOS Group, a consulting firm that specializes in strategic communications and empowering young businesses. When he's not traveling around the world, you can usually find him playing tennis or practicing with his U.S. Masters swim team. Please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Cory.McKnight. Hi, Cory. How are you doing tonight?
Great. Hi, Sheena. Thanks for that lovely introduction. It's kind of weird hearing it. Like, I mean, it's true, but it's just like, oh, okay, I guess I don't really see myself as that. I just do what I've always been doing. Yeah, so.
Well, you've done a lot in the past 30 years, so thank you for joining the show tonight. I'm so excited to speak with you. I always like to tell my guests how I met you, and I actually met Mr. Cory in Outward Bound as an instructor and trainer. And so he had a big personality then, and we just kept in touch over all the years. So he's definitely been definitely been instrumental in my life in providing some tips and guidance for me. So again, thank you for joining me on the show.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, Mr. Cory, if you could just share with us a little bit about your money story and like what shaped your thoughts around money.
It's really interesting. So they say that like some of the most important influences in a person's life are their family, their schooling, and their church. And for me, it was definitely my family and my parents. And what was interesting about my parents' relationship with money is that we had money, but our parents didn't act as if they had money. So, we had like a multi-family, we had a house with, multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms, multiple cars, the light was on, we weren't behind in our rent or anything like that. And my father had a construction company. My mom was president of a union and then later an elected official, but they didn't have the mentality that we were like middle class. It was always on a budget. Like our family vacations always consisted of us in a car driving to see family, right? Like we didn't go to Disney or Tampa or Busch Gardens, even though we were here in Florida. And so it was interesting, and money was it wasn't even as a reward, right? And my parents weren't spendthrifts, and they weren't quite frugal. It was like in the middle. We were like comfortable, but we had cars, but they weren't lavish. We had a house. It was modest. We we had an allowance, which was very modest. Growing up, and we got things for our birthday, and Christmas, but they weren't they were really kind of careful with money. I think and it came from how they grew up and their parents. You know, both my parents are from rural South Carolina, and so there wasn't a lot, and so they just didn't see money as a way to like reward and to spoil their children. Like that wasn't the focus. The money was a tool for them. And it's interesting because like in my friends in the school, you know, growing up in Miami, you know, it seemed like the little extra money they had was used on like luxury, on like fashion trend. It wasn't like saving for the future, the way my parents did. You know, and they're both retired now. But two interesting things about money. One, so my mom was a pension fund manager. She was actually one of the managers for her pension fund. And she retired before she was 50.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yes, like completely stopped working. And she gave me the best investing advice like 40 years ago. And her advice was to buy stocks in the products that I use, right? Don't follow the trends, don't follow hot stocks. You know, so if you like Apple computers, and at the time I did, I was programming on them in the late 80s, and I should have bought stock then. You know, you know, that's what you use, you know. And also, you know, to diversify. And then she talked about index funds and growth funds. I didn't know what that means back then, but again, she retired at 50. And the other thing, well, actually, she was like 48, I think. And the other thing she said was that money is political, you know, and that how one spends money signals to the market what's important to them. So money as a tool and as signaling to the market and to other people what's important.
Oh, wow. So how many brothers and sisters do you have?
So I have 4 siblings. I have 2 older brothers and 2 younger sisters. So I am right in the middle.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. And you say your mom retired before the age of 50. Now, what did she do when she retired? Because that's like a long time. Like, is she still,
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So she went on tour. She went to visit relatives. So I'm going to North Carolina for a month to visit my brother, and then I'm going to Baltimore to visit someone. Then I'm going to South Carolina. So yes, yeah,
Okay.
she just went on tour. She stopped cooking, you know. So yeah, either eat out or fend for yourself. So she really put herself first, which is a great attitude to have.
Right. It is. And it's also different, I think, for like women back in like
Yeah.
previous years than it is like today. Because today women are very bold and we want to take up space and share with you our thoughts. And for her to do that at a younger age, retire early, not cook, you know.
Yeah, it was a big change. And we understood. It was like, oh wow, wait a minute. I'm like, and then we thought about it. Wait a minute, we're all over 18, you know, we've all like graduated high school and either went to college and started working. And you're right. We're adults now. This is what's supposed to happen. She does whatever she wants.
Right.
And if that means get out of my house, and let me live my life, okay, that's what happened.
Okay. And so with that being said, you said all of you all were adults and living your life. What do you think the students today need to know about money before they go to college or after they leave college?
Okay, so it was interesting. So I'm a first generation college student. So my parents didn't go to college, so they didn't know how to navigate the application or financial aid process. And back when I went to college, back in the late 80s, the most important thing you need to know is that it is possible to complete college without student debt, without student loan debt. Okay, that's the first thing I want to get across because I did it, right? And that securing financial aid and scholarships, that is a job. That is not a one-time event. Okay, you don't have a meeting with the counselor and like, okay, whatever, and then you sign like no. And so I remember, I don't know if it's the same now, but students looking at scholarships, and they were more interested in scholarships that were paid to the student and not paid to the school, not realizing that once the school has their tuition and fees, that students are issued a refund, right? So I was able to have scholarships that exceeded my tuition. And so every semester I got a refund and I used that money to buy like books and toiletries. So I was super independent because for me, it wasn't just important to go to college, but to finish.
Right. Now, do you think your mom helped you and your siblings with that independence by her retiring and teaching you guys that you got to fend for yourselves and cook and figure out what you're going to do with your day and all that good stuff?
You know, and that really helped too, because by the time I got to college, you know, so I knew how to cook and feed myself. I knew how to do laundry, you know, and there were some students that were struggling. But she also told me to, you know, she said, protect your credit. You know, don't go be getting all the department store credit cards and running them up, because there's going to come a time where everything is going to depend on, you're going to buy everything with your signature, right? And so that's going to become super important. And also to save money for retirement, start now. I think there's something like compound interest is your friend. So like all the stuff she said, like it didn't make sense that at 18, but it does now. And I'm glad that she that she gave me those messages. And after college, I think what's important is for, you know, students, even new students, and as they go through their career, to get paid what they're worth, right? So it's but in that, I mean, look at the entire compensation package. You know, do you have retirement? Do you have good health care? You know, is it flexible? Is it, you know, daycare? You know, so look at the entire, you know, benefit package. But, you know, realize that while it may be a friendly working environment, you wouldn't be friends with those folks if you didn't work there. So the money is important.
That is so funny. Now, how do you help students really understand what is a good salary? Because I tell people, you know, different degrees pay different things. So every degree isn't treated the same. So just because you go to college and get a degree, it doesn't mean that, you know, you're going to be making $80,000 right after undergrad. I also tell my students to think about the entry level, because a lot of times when I taught at community colleges, they would want to go to what they would make as a manager. And the reality is they may not stay at a job till they become a manager. They may not even like the job after the first year. So what are you making that first year? And how can you live off of that, if that makes sense? Like, think about all those things. So what do you tell students to really know if they're getting paid a good dollar amount, considering they don't have a lot of experience?
Right. Yeah. And so one, it's different in every market. That's the first thing too. So you're right. So yeah, and it does, it depend on an experience, right? And so what's the old adage? You have to, you know, walk before you can fly, or run before you can fly, or something like that. Walk before you can run. Yeah. So you have to, you know, get the experience and learn. And learning is lifelong, right? And what the degree gives you is flexibility, right? And it sends a message that you have the ability to stick to things and complete projects, to complete assignments. That's what college, you know, if you're going to college for 4+ years, okay, yeah, you can handle this job for a couple years, right? So yeah, especially in the early years, yes, learn, right? If you have enough to if you make enough to where you're living and it may not be lavish, then that's okay. But as you progress in your career, yes, make sure that you're you know, valued, that your value is reflected in your paycheck and in your compensation, and not just in niceties from your managers.
Right. Now, do you think that students should go in entry-level positions and try to negotiate their salaries, or you think they should wait until they get some experience under their belt?
Oh yeah, they have to have some experience, because there's nothing to negotiate, right? So because and so that's we have to talk about soft skills too, in addition to, you know, the specific, you know, area of expertise, you know, because it's easier to train someone that's likable than to deal with than have to massage someone's, attitude and personality who is skilled but doesn't get along with the team. Right. So the soft skills and how to, manage conflict and how to get the team working together and how to kind of create a more efficient and like kind of smooth working environment. Like that is an important skill as well. But yes, entry level is entry level. But there are, merit increases, which you can ask for after you get to a point where you're competent and you know your role and you understand, your importance and contribution to the company.
Okay, so you talked about soft skills. So how can what are some things that they can start doing as a young person to develop those soft skills while they're even in college that could transfer from when they get to working in that company?
So get a mentor, find someone who's in a profession, that you would like to be in, and ask that person to mentor you. That's the start. If there are internships, look for the internships, paid internships, so get that experience. And so that really helps because that's going to reduce the learning curve after college when you begin working, and that's attractive to employers.
That's good. Sometimes I find that working in management, it's so hard sometimes to get the team to work together, but it's hard in regards to managing their emotions. And sometimes people I think they want you to be like their babysitter. I don't know if they think it through like that, but they call you for everything, want you to answer all these questions. It's like, did you think through how to solve the problem, or did you just come to me just because? I don't think they realize the importance of solving problems and try to figure out a solution to things instead of just identifying a problem. And also another thing I think too, with just feedback, how to take feedback, constructive feedback, and understand too that every job has expectations, so, and right now we're in this data analytics world. I feel like everybody has a metric to everything they want to measure, see how big, fast it could grow. And I think a lot of people really don't like that, especially when working corporate. They don't like the metrics, but I don't know what to tell them. It is what it is. Do what you could do. And then for all the other stuff, those are the soft skills that you work on. Right. But I don't really know how to tell them to get around not meeting the basic expectations, because no matter where you go, I feel like there's always going to be a quota or something in any role that you have to meet. And right now we're doing mid-year reviews. So having these conversations a lot, but it's a little challenging. I didn't really see myself as a manager, I guess, prior to being one. And I guess, I don't know, maybe I have a leadership skill that I didn't really know, but I think really people just want leaders, people that can get stuff done. I really think that's what it is at the end of the day. If you can get things done and they don't have to tassel or, run behind you every 5 minutes, then they want to put you in some type of leadership position. I think that's sometimes what people who want to be leaders need to think about, how well do they respond to things? How quick do they respond to things? And then how do they manage those relationships? Like you were saying, those soft skills, because that's usually how you could get into higher positions. But then I have some people on my team that just want to be in a higher position. They just want the title, but they don't want to do the work. And that's tough too. So I don't know. I've been looking into, this may sound dumb, but I'd be looking into doing the 5 love languages, trying to make sure I understand how each person can be motivated from that, or even looking into trying to be more empathetic and understanding. I think I heard a quote that says in the past, it was all about your physical strength. Then it was about your brains, your mental strength. Now it's going to be about who has the most heart or something for the next generation. And so I'm trying to incorporate those things, but we'll see. I feel like that's still a challenge and something that I'm constantly working at, just to make sure that everybody is on the same accord. We're working in the same direction. But sometimes with the younger people, it's a little bit challenging.
Yes.
I don't know. I know they have grades and stuff to mean in school. I don't know why they think that at work they just cannot do nothing.
No, it's interesting you said that, because I've had this conversation. So I've been in corporate America, 30 years, more than 30 years. And two things. and for the new employees or the young employees, observation like is your friend, right? So just kind of observe. Don't come in thinking you know anything about anything, because even if, because every situation is different, every work environment is different. So observe the folks who are successful, who's been there the longest, you know, and your managers, you know, and emulate, you know, that behavior. And then also as for me with coworkers, we can't be friendly if you're not doing your job, right? If other people have to take up your slack, we can't be chit chatting and going to lunch because you have stuff to do, right? And so like for instance, where I am, you know, luckily like everyone is super competent, right? And if I, you know, want to go on vacation or someone else wants to leave, you know, we are confident in our colleagues' professionalism and skill set that they're able to handle, you know, situations when we're not there, right? And so, and that's a great place to be. But there were times when I wasn't there, right? When I knew I would have to either take care of things before I left, or I would have to take care of it when I got back, right? And so, and that's important, because even if it doesn't seem like it, you're being watched by your managers and by your coworkers, right? So again, you know, back to observation, like just see what's going on and how other people are performing around you, and try to emulate the successful people.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good feedback for young people as well as like myself. I think that's something that I will take with me. I just started a new job not too long ago, so we'll see how it goes. I have more responsibility already being handed to me. So yeah, so we'll see how it goes. So going back to the money topic, what are some things that you have started to use, or what are some of the things that you use now to best manage your money?
Okay, well, all right. So the first thing is a budget. So that's first, right? I don't just spend indiscriminately, right? And when I do spend, I comparison shop, right? I don't just go on Amazon, whatever, and buy the first thing, because it may not be, you know, the best use of my money, right? And my money may go further if I buy something from somewhere else, that's something left over. Even vacations, you know, I plan 9 months in advance, you know, to get the cheapest fare. You know, I book an Airbnb like months in advance. I buy the tickets, you know, months in advance. And I know, so I have a budget and how much I'm going to spend, and I'm able to get my time away from work. And I look at my time the same way I look at money. You know, when I'm purchasing something, I think about how many hours did I have to work to get to, you know, to buy this. Also, I have multiple bank accounts. So I open a free bank account at the credit union that, so I'm able to kind of save money and I don't even see it, right? My accounts are linked electronically. And so during the year, I'm making contributions into my IRA, you know, because I want to make sure that I max out my IRA every year, my contributions every year, you know, and that's calculated. So that's first. So if I want new shoes or if I want to take a trip, that comes after I've budgeted to max out my retirement contributions. And also sometimes when I'm, you know, when I'm traveling or shopping, I use cash. So I make sure that I don't go over budget. So especially when I travel, okay, I'm going to take money out. Okay, here's my cash in euros. This is all I can spend.
Right.
I'm leaving my credit cards in the safe, and that's it. I have my metro ticket. If I run out of cash, I'm just going.
You leave your credit card in the States, really?
No, in the safe. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, in the safe. Oh, okay, I'm about to say that's real bold.
Yeah, no. Like, yeah, my credit cards are in the safe, and you know where I'm staying, and I just have cash and my metro card. So Yeah.
Okay, and see, I didn't. So with the whole cash thing, I totally get it when you travel overseas because the international rates to like transfer money or take it out the ATM, it kills you. Or even just buying on your debit card or your credit card, just regular stuff in the store. That international rate, it adds up, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't know that the first time.
I get cash from my bank before I leave. I get the local currency before I leave from my bank. And so when I show up, so I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Right. And so there are no surprises. I don't come back to this huge credit card bill, whatever, because the trip is prepaid.
Right. Yeah, that's really important. And also, I was just telling someone today about the whole setting up a different bank account to try to help her manage her money. I was like, do an online savings account so that way it'll take 2 to 3 days before the money comes back to you if you keep dipping into your savings. I was like, and you can set up the direct deposit, go ahead and just send it to that account. So you don't have to be responsible for waiting to the end of the month to save $10, or when you do this, save to this amount. It's already going to do it for you and you don't have to do anything. So yeah, I always like to tell people, set up those multiple accounts. If it's hard for you to start saving, do like an online account or something where it takes 2 to 3 days to transfer. That's like a boundary to protect you from you, right?
Yes, because because if it's an issue of like willpower and discipline, just take it out of the equation and make it automatic.
Right. Yeah. And that's the easy thing I think we have now with technology and money and paying bills and everything. But totally agree with that. So since you talked about your money story and everything, what would you say is one word? Because I also want to tie in this season, like emotions with money, how people feel as far as how they're responding. So what's one word that comes to mind when you think of money now?
Money is a tool.
Money is a tool.
Money is a tool, right? Just like a hammer, right? So it isn't inherently like good or evil. It just that depends on how it's used, right? Like a hammer, we can use a hammer to build a habitat house for someone, or you can use it in a fight, right? The hammer it's just a hammer. It's how you use it. And the same thing with money, right? You can use money to donate to a charity like, I don't know, Doctors Without Borders, or you can use it to fund the political campaign of a politician that's anti-everything. Right? So, yeah. But really, and also what I've learned is that through observation is that money doesn't make people happy. And a lot of people kind of think so, but there's so many celebrity stories that shows us differently. Right? Doesn't prevent addiction, doesn't prevent like family issues, doesn't prevent like a whole lot of stuff. There are plenty of celebrities with money that aren't happy.
Right. Yeah. I think that's just more so. I think now, like 2020, really exposed the importance of mental health. So I think that's what we're starting to see more of. Maybe in the next 10 years, 20 years, we'll see if all this mental health awareness and people going to counseling and talking about their feelings and emotions, if that will be a change in how people act and maybe lower some of these illnesses that we have. So I would like to see how that pans out in the next 10, 15, 20 years of the mental health counseling and just in general with money and everything, how it like all relates. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's very insightful. And I agree.
So, Mr. Cory, before we get off, I like to do rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you a couple are easy. So just a little simple question and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
All right.
So the first question is paper or plastic?
Oh, paper.
Okay, paper. Makes sense because you use cash. So that kind of makes sense. Paper, In regards to advice, what's some advice that you got that you think everybody should know or you think that we should totally disregard?
Oh, what everybody should know?
Yes.
Or advice that we should totally disregard? Oh boy. I don't know. That everyone should know. I think we should. Anything on social media. Okay, like social media is not news. Okay, it is not news. So disregard if Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is your news source. Disregard that.
Disregard.
It's all right. So in computer science, there's a concept: garbage in, garbage out. Right? You can't get good output if the programming is bad. If you're writing bad coding, right? And it's the same thing. So you have people who believe all this incredible stuff because the sources of information are unreliable or just false. So yeah, what people should ignore information from social media.
Okay. And then my last question. Recently, Jeff Bezos gave $100 million to Van Jones.
Yes.
If someone called you and he told him he could do whatever he wanted to do with it.
Uh-huh.
So if someone called you tomorrow and gave you $100 million, what do you think is the first thing you'll do?
Oh, all right. Got this. So, all right. So I can't spend $100 million. Like I am really like frugal and right. So I would have to give it away. So I would create a foundation. All right. I already know who I would hire to manage that foundation. And I would take written grants from people and organizations, but it would have to be written. And there would be like requirements, like you'd have to be an existing organization, maybe something new. No. Right. No. No. And for family, it's going to be even harder. Like, okay, you need a 4-year degree, period. Okay. Yeah. Or you're not getting anything.
So you're going to give it to foundations, to family members based off your criteria.
Like especially community groups, probably more community groups than national groups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So probably local groups, local people that are doing good things in their community. Like that's where it will go. Like the small groups of, caring people who just like need the funding that are already doing the work and just need the funding. That's where it will go.
Okay, well, that is encouraging to hear that you would give it to those foundations. I've thought about this question too, and I think I will also give it to a foundation. Of course, to this foundation, I would like to increase the scholarship amount, of course. So I was thinking I would do, just to give you some ideas, I ain't gonna tell you everything, but one of them would be to increase the scholarships to $10,000 a year. So it'll be $40,000 per person. Maybe giving up maybe 5 to 10. That would be one section of the money. Mm-hmm. Then I have some more money that I would use for my business side, and then some more money that I would use. I would put some money into mental health in urban communities, in particular with Black boys, ages 10 to 20.
Okay, so
go straight to them.
All right, so you would be the perfect candidate for funding because one, you're already doing this, right, without the funding. Right. And so the funding would just help you get, and you're not even doing it to help yourself.
Right.
Right. Like I'm not going to fund your budding rap career. Okay. Right. No. But you have an organization, right? You're in the community. You're helping people like improve their lives on a daily basis. Right. It's not about influencing policy and government and that kind of stuff. You're like helping people, with their everyday things. That's what I'm interested in because that's where the change is going to come.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Cory, for joining us on our Education Over Debt podcast. You can, of course, check out the podcast on YouTube or Facebook Live. Share with me your contact information. How can people get in contact with you if you don't mind? Oh,
okay, sure. Probably the easiest way is my email, which is very simple, Cory.McKnight@gmail.com. So shoot me an email. And yes, I will respond.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for joining our podcast, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Wow, we learned so much from Mr. Cory.McKnight. We thank him so much for joining our podcast and sharing tips with us for what young people can do as they prepare to go to college, as well as some things that he learned as he began to transition into adulthood. Remember, you can check us out on educationoverdebt.com on all your social media platforms. Again, we thank our guests for joining us. Remember to live life, love life, and be well. I am Sheena Hogue. Thank you for joining.